Hello and welcome to episode 201 of the Podiatry Business Podcast. So today's podcast is a little bit different. What I'm going to do is bring to you today a workshop that I recently recorded and that I've now put up on my website, YouTube and so on. But basically this website is titled How to Add 50% Profits to Your Podiatry Clinic in the Next 6 Months. Now why did I call it that? I didn't just pick that out of the sky. The reason is because the typical clinic owner who comes and works with me, what I see is over a 12-month period when they work with me, they will double their profits. And I wanted to show people that it is possible to have a significant difference in your business by pulling some finite levers. That it's not actually this mystique that you think, that it's a system or process that you can follow. And I want to show you how you should start to think about your business, what levers you should look at, what numbers, and then what levers you should pull to change those numbers and make a difference to your business. Now, this is better watched on YouTube because I'm sharing screen quite a lot, but I have done my best to make sure that this workshop works if you're just listening to audio, maybe in the car, which I know a lot of you guys do. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope it helps. If you have any questions, just feel free to reach out to me, or if you see anything in the workshop and you think, you know what, I could do with help from Lorcan, you've got two options. One is you go to a website, morepracticeprofits.com, and you can either talk to a virtual Lorcan, which is trained as me. It will ask you a bunch of questions and it'll give you a plan. You can take that plan away and you can implement it yourself, no charge. Or alternatively, at the end, if you want to, you can talk to virtual Lorcan about working with real Lorcan, which is me, obviously, and I'll help you rather to implement what you're learning here in the plan. Alternatively, if you want to skip that and go straight to having a conversation with real me, just simply book in a triage call. It's just a 10-minute phone call. We'll have a chat on the phone and we'll see if we're a good fit, and if I think we can help, we'll talk next steps. So without any more ado, let's get on with the workshop. Okay, hello and welcome everyone to this 30-minute workshop called Add 50% Profits to Your Podiatry Clinic Inside 6 Months. Thank you all for coming, those of you who have come live, and those of you who are watching the recording later, thanks for doing so. If you are here live, please hold your questions to the end and I will do a Q&A at the end on anything you have, any questions you might have about your podiatry clinic and what we talked about here today. So, you're here because you're a podiatry clinic owner who is probably not satisfied with your business right now, and you probably want to know how you can boost your clinic profits by 50% inside the next 6 months. And that sounds like how could it possibly do that? But I promise you can, and I will show you how to do that. So what I want to do today is in this 30 minutes, I want to share with you the 5 main levers that I get my coaching clients to focus on to get similar results. Now, when my coaching clients come along, I use many things, but these are the main levers we do, and actually we give them we help them to pull those levers. So obviously I'm not going to do that here, but I'm going to show you how to do what levers you should be pulling and what effects and what ones you should focus on. So the 3 main obstacles that I see clinic owners having is they're not making the profits, that they're not making more profits, essentially is they're not sure where to focus. There's just too many things that need fixed and they don't know where to start, and it's kind of like do this, do that, they're firefighting. They often think that the answer is just getting more new patients, but actually getting more new patients, this is from someone who owns a marketing agency, can, if it's put in too early, can cause more chaos, yet no more profits. So you end up being busy, but you're not actually making any more money because you haven't fixed the fundamentals. And then the third thing I see is that they don't understand the maths, that why maths and knowing your numbers in your business is the answer to most of the business. So they're constantly firefighting, trying different things, hoping that something will stick. If I throw enough muck at the wall, something will stick. So instead, what you really want is you want to have a smart but simple strategy so that we know before we even start where we should focus. You want to know what type of tactics to deploy and why you should be deploying them. And you want to understand easily what's working and know that I will reach my profit target if I do so. So this is what I do. I help people just like Claire Dawson Claire Dawson is a podiatrist based in the northeast of the UK, and you can have a look, if you go to morepracticeprofits.com, you can have a look at, or even a YouTube channel, you can have a look at my interview with Claire and see how she's been getting on with her business and how her business grew by over 60%, her profits grew by over 60% inside a very short period of time. And a lot of the things that we're going to teach you here today, we did with Claire. So this is what I do, and I'd love to help you. So if you're a podiatry clinic owner and if you'd like some help with what you see here, with getting your clinic to have a better profit and give you a better life, then all you need to do really is go to morepracticeprofits.com and just book a 10-minute triage call. It's just a quick phone call. We'll have a chat, me and you, and we'll see where you think you're having problems, and if I think I can help, I'll tell you what I think I can do, and then we can just talk next steps. It's not a hard sell at all. So go to morepracticeprofits.com and just book that triage call. Anyway, let's get on with this. So I speak to many podiatry clinic owners. Some I work with, some I end up not working with, etc., etc. And what I see is a very similar story with a lot of them. And that is that they're working long hours and that they feel near burnout, or in many cases they feel burnt out. And I've been in that position myself. They feel tied or trapped by their business, so they can't really take a holiday for a long period of time because the business is constantly reliant on them. And profits are not reflecting the amount of work that they've had to put into the business now and over the years. It's not reflecting the skill set that they have clinically and the effort that they've put in. And in many cases, as happened in my own clinic, the staff were actually making more money than the clinic owners I speak to. And if you're a staff owner and you're watching this, you might go, that's not possible. But I can guarantee you, in the majority of clinics that I speak to, relatively small clinics, anywhere from 2 to 5 staff, that's often the case that the clinic owner is making less per hour than the staff are making themselves. So there are 5 levers that you should really consider pulling or changing to make difference to the finances in your business. Now, there's lots of things you can do, but what we want to do is focus. We want something that we can focus on and go, okay, well, look, what will I do here? What will I do there? So they can either be pulled singly, either on their own, one at a time, or you can pull a few of them together, or you can pull all of them at the same time. And that can be done over and over and over again. Now, those levers are leads, number of leads, so they kind of go in an order. Leads, number of leads that you get, and a lead is someone who is not a patient but has given you permission to speak to them and potentially could become a patient. So you might be doing so via email, phone, whatever it happens to be. Conversions, pretty obvious, converting from a lead to a patient, and obviously converting from a patient initial consultation into an ongoing plan of care. Average appointment value, what's the average amount that you charge per appointment? PVA, patient visit average, or the average number of appointments that somebody has with you. And then margin is percentages. What's your percentage profit? So if you make £100 is your margin. If your margin is 30%, then you make £30 profit after everything's finished. So they're the 5 levers that can change. So I'm going to just show you a really quick demo. Now, if you want to, there is a calculator on More Practice Profits on the resources that you can use to do this. But I'm going to give you scenario 1 and scenario 2. Okay, so in scenario 1, so we're going to have leads, conversions, appointment values, PVA, margin, and then we're going to have down the bottom profit. So in margin 1, we have, or in episode or scenario A, we have 1,000 leads and we have a 25% conversion rate, which means we end up with 250 patients. Now, we charge an average of £50 for an appointment. So obviously some appointments will be less, some appointments will be more, but the average is 50. And the average patient comes 4 times to see you. So they'll spend £50 4 times, giving you a revenue of 50,000. Now, if your margin is 20%, if you're making a 20% profit margin, net profit, then you're going to end up with £10,000. Now, if we change those levers, if we change all 5 of those levers by just a little amount. If we just increase them all by, say, 10%. So instead of getting 1,000, we get 1,100 leads. And instead of getting a conversion rate of 25%, we have a 27.5%. It's not a huge difference. It gives us 303 patients. And if we put our price up by average appointment value, should say, instead of price up, we're going to charge £55. And if patients come an average of 4.4 times instead of 4 times, we end up with a turnover of £73,326. Now, if our margin is now 22%, which isn't huge, that will give us a profit of £16,131.72, which is a 60% increase in your profits. So you can see, you don't have to make a huge change, but if you can change each of these things in your business over the next 6 months, if you just did one a month for 5 months and then went back over for the last month by 10%, you will give yourself a 60% increase in your profits. And to be honest, you can do far more than that. I would expect you to do far more than that if you were a client of mine. So this shows you how you can do that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you just 2 simple tactics that you can pull in each of these levers. Now, there are multiple tactics that we teach our clients, but we don't have time here. I said I'd be 30 minutes and no longer, so I'm going to do that. And I will leave the leads until last. As I said earlier, many clinics think that the only thing they need is, I just need more patients. And I want you to see, actually, that's not the case. That yes, you need more patients, but you should have more patients after you fix the other things. And that way you will have far more of a profit margin. So let's start with margin. So it's boring, it's doing your numbers, but essentially it is, how do I make my profit margin better? So the first thing you must do is you must do a simple profit and loss monthly. Now, I'm not necessarily talking about getting your accountant to do this. You're actually better off doing this yourself. And all you're really doing is you're putting in at the top how much cash your turnover, how much cash you collected. Okay, that's at the top. Then you're going to have your wage costs. So you're going to have admin, and then you're going to have clinical, and then you're going to have you. What does it cost to have you? Now, what you should do there is not put in what you pay yourself, but what per hour would you have to pay someone else to do what you do clinically. So you could probably get a new grad in. In my clinic, you could get a new grad in to do what I do if you train them properly. And if you do 40 hours, you work out and you put that in. And that lets you know then how much it would cost to replace yourself or half of yourself or whatever. Then underneath we have our general costs, and you want to be as detailed as you can here so that you can then figure out, well, where am I spending too much money? I'm running out of space here. And then what we end up with then is we end up with our profit, and we can see what's left over, and we really want to have that as a percentage. So by doing that simple P&L every single month, what we now know is we can start to see what's going on in your business and where your money's going. So if you're taking in all this money, you're wondering why you've nothing left at the end of the month, well, you got to start with a P&L, and you should do it every month. And it can be done on a simple sheet of paper. It does not have to be anything fancy. If it's something that is quite hard and technical for you to do, then you're never going to do it. So taking a simple piece of A4 paper out, writing out by hand, having it 90%, 95% accurate is fine. This is not what you're giving your accountant. It's for you to be able to know what's going on in your business. Just like if a patient comes into you, you're going to take some measurements and you're going to make decisions based off the measurements, which brings us to the second. You take those hard decisions that are based on the P&L. So maybe your wages are too high as a percentage. Maybe your marketing is being wasted. Maybe you're spending too much money on consumables here and so on. So you take the hard decisions based off a P&L. So I had a client of mine just 3 months ago. We had a crisis call, a one-on-one crisis call just before Christmas. I'm recording this on the 1st of April, and the business was making a loss for the 3 months, hadn't done a P&L properly. So I made that person do a P&L. We got on a call, we had a look, and we made those hard decisions together. I helped them to make those hard decisions. And last month, profits went back up to 9,000 a month, which is pretty good for a 2-person clinic. And they will do far more over the next 12 months or so. But by doing that P&L and making those hard decisions based off the P&L, they were able to improve their margin. Okay, next one then is the average number of appointments that a patient has, or a patient visit average is the technical way you'd say this. You hear guys like me talk about. So the first thing you do is literally, again, you just start to measure what is your PVA, because what is measured will improve. Now, if you're using software like Clinico, it gives this for you. It's so simple. You don't even have to do anything. Only just put in the dates and you'll see it, and it'll give you an itemized one. And what you want to then do is you want to see, well, what is the situation with regards to different staff. So you might have staff A has a PVA of, say, 4, and staff B has a PVA of 7, and staff C might have a PVA of 10. And from those numbers, you then are able to figure out where you should be focusing and what you need to change. So maybe staff A isn't seeing the patients enough. Okay, so you need to have a conversation and see, why are they discharging? Why are the patients self-discharging, and figure that out. Or maybe staff C, who's seeing them 10 times, is seeing them too many times. But you need to know and need to figure that out. So that will improve your PVA. The second thing then is you need to, or you should consider, is packaging your treatment plans. So packaging your treatment plans essentially, and I've done podcasts on this, I have lots of information on YouTube. Also, you will get all of this in a copy of my book, Podiatry Business Success, because you can download that for free from the website morepracticeprofits.com, or you can buy, if you want a hard copy, I like a hard copy, you can go to amazon.co.uk and get yourself a hard copy. But packaging your treatments basically is a patient comes into you with a problem, and you don't sell them an individual appointment, or you book them in for an individual appointment, you sell them a package of care. Now, we do this in podiatry in nail surgery, and we think nothing of it. We think it's completely normal. Yes, you need nail surgery. I'm going to need to do the surgery. I'll have to see you the next day, and I'll have to see you this many times over the next few weeks, and it's this single price. Fine, patient's no problem with it. But you should consider doing this in other treatments. It's like fungal nail, maybe laser. Maybe you're doing it with verruca treatments. In my clinic, we do it with complex MSK conditions. We have a 3-month package of care, and what we do is, that is what we get the patient to sign up for. So when we get a patient to sign up for a 3-month plan of care, or whatever it happens to be, that patient's PVA is going to be substantially higher than if we're just telling them come one at a time. So look at packaging your treatment plans. These 2 simple things don't cost you any money to do, none, and they will make a massive difference to your PVA. So then we have average appointment value. So it isn't just about how much you charge for an appointment, okay? The first thing you must do is you must have a real pricing strategy. And a real pricing strategy includes having regular price increases. That is a basic. Because inflation goes up, business costs goes up, everything goes up, you should have a regular price increase. How regular depends on the business, depends how low your prices are. So for example, I might have clients of mine, and what we need to do is we'll need to progressively go, for example, from £40 to say £59, and we're not going to do that in one go for, say, chiropody, routine chiropody. So we might go from 40 to 45 to 49 to 54 to 50, 59, and we'll do that maybe over an 18-month, 20-month period, and we'll have it planned out in advance. That's a strategy. It's not I better put the price up. Then you need to have a think about where does the costs of your business go, and how are you going to reach the target that you need to get to. So you work backwards. So what you should be figuring out is, how much money do I need to make a year in profit to live the life I want to live? And you've probably heard me talk about this before on my podcast. And then if I'm working this many hours and I have this many billable hours, so if I have myself working 30 hours and I have 2 staff working 40 hours each, I have 110 hours, billable hours a week. And if I know my profit margin is 1/3, well, then I need to make this much per hour to do so. And then that's where your pricing starts to come from. Now, you're not, like I said, going to go from here to there and pricing all at one time, but you're going to have a proper strategy at last. And the last thing I would suggest when it comes to having a proper pricing strategy is considering offering premium service. Premium service will tend to attract the kind of client who is easier to deal with. They are more compliant in my experience, and they send more people like them. And it's easier to run a business when you're running a premium service than trying to be the cheapest or trying to be just in the middle all the time. Now, if you're going to offer a premium service, you need to make sure that you are actually premium, okay? You can't just be the same as everyone else and charge a higher price. I've seen clients try to do that and it just doesn't work. An example is I got my car valeted. The first time I got myself a nice car last year and promised I get it valeted every year. And I looked for a valet, and one particular valet company would come to the house, take the car, take it away, valet it, and bring it back. And I was willing to pay more money to do that, and that was a premium service. Others were charging less, but I didn't give them the money. So that's what I mean by that. Second thing then is when it comes to having a higher average appointment value is offer higher ticket treatments. So example are nail surgery. I had a client who wasn't doing nail surgery, so we got them to do nail surgery. We started to implement nail surgery, verruca treatments, etc. Maybe you're going to implement laser fungal nail into the clinic. That's another high ticket treatment. Maybe you're going to start to invest in an ultrasound machine and offer ultrasound. Start considering what kind of high ticket treatments can you give into your clinic that you can charge a premium price and that will boost your average appointment value. So there are two very simple things you can do. Have a real pricing strategy, offer high ticket treatments. They don't all necessarily have to cost you any money to do so. Okay, next one then is conversions. This is the second last one. So conversions basically is if I have a lead, how do I get that person to become an appointment, to come in for that initial consultation? The second part of the conversion is how do I get a patient who's in for an appointment and not telling me this is their problem to agree to an ongoing plan of care? Okay, so there's two things. So one of them, the first one is probably your admin team. And the second one is the conversions of your clinical team. But you need to do both, because if your admin team are really good at converting, getting people to come in, and then your clinical team don't rebook anyone, well, then you're screwed. So the first thing you must do here, and again, it costs you nothing, okay, is to learn the psychology of decision making. Because what we do when we're making decisions, us humans, and this isn't me, this is the research, is we base it off an emotional goal. We use emotion to make decisions on high ticket items beyond spending 50 quid, which is what you need to build your business to. We understand that there is left brain versus right brain, okay? So essentially one side of your brain, depending on the person, will use a rational and the other side will use the less rational decision making. And visuals, there are tricks that you can use like visuals and so on to encourage people to understand what you're trying to do and get them to do so. Again, if you want to, there is loads of information on this online. I would suggest looking up Robert Cialdini, Influence. You can look at these videos on YouTube, etc. Or you can read my book, Podiatry Business Success Secrets. But just go online, start looking what is the psychology of decision making. Because if you can get good at that, what you can do is you can get your patients to take the decision that's right for them and for their health. There's nothing worse than a patient comes in, they tell you they have this long-term problem that's causing a significant problem in their life, detriment to their life. You know what to do. You can you explain it all to them very rationally, and then they say, I'm going to have to go home and talk to my wife. And you know what that is it's a polite way of saying, no, I'm not going to do that, I'm not comfortable. So if you could get those people to say yes to what they need to, I'm not suggesting we use it to sell people stuff they don't need, then it can have a transformative effect on your business. Then once you've done that and you understand that and you have that as a system, what you do is you'll systemize that and you will then teach it to all of your staff and have your staff use that system. And if you think that that's not possible, I guarantee you it is possible. I have all of my clients do this. We teach them the psychology of persuasion. We help them systemize it, and we help them to get their team to learn how to do it, to buy into how to do this. The second thing then is And again, that costs you nothing. The second thing then is when you measure all conversions, okay? All conversions. And the emphasis is on all, okay? So there are a few different places I would tell you, and one would be leads to actually booking. So if you get, I don't know, let's say you're doing Facebook ads, how many of them actually end up as a booking? So measure it, okay? Initial appointments into follow-up appointments, into a rebook. I once had a client, never measured this, and we went and we measured it for 2 weeks, and we found that he has 16% rebooking rate. And once he measured it and saw he had a 16% rebooking rate, what he decided is, oh my God, I better fix this. So 2 weeks later, because he'd emphasized getting every patient to rebook, and I'd helped them with this, how you do that, what you say in scripts and so on, it went from 16 to 65% without costing him anything. And all we had done is we had measured it. Ongoing plan of care. So what is your ongoing treatment plan of care? So are people dropping out? And you will find that that is going to happen unless you actually check it. What is your front desk rebooking? So when somebody is with you, your team, and the team member says, go out and book another appointment, you want to know how many of those people actually book an appointment. And often what's happening is the baton has been dropped. It's like a relay race between the clinician and between the front desk. Find out what is going on, what's the number, and if it's not where it needs to be, fix it. Easy done. It's actually quite simple to do that. We use a script. We teach our clients scripts how to do that, and a system, and it's all systemized. Very, very simple. And then lastly, I would suggest your phone answering rates. How much is the phone being answered? Because you're working really hard to make that phone to ring, but your team aren't answering. I once had a client in Australia. We were doing their Google ads, and they told us turn off the Google ads that make the phone ring. And it was really successful. And I asked why? Because the reception team won't answer the phone. They don't like answering the phone. And that is no use. You need to figure out what's going on, and we have to replace the reception team with somebody who would answer the phone. But you need to go and look and see what is your phone answering number. If you're spending money on getting the phone to ring and you're only answering it 60% of the time, well, that is such an easy thing to fix. And that's what you should be focusing on. Okay, lastly, is leads. Like I said, I left leads till the end because everybody thinks getting more leads, which is getting more patients, is all I have to do. It is not. And you can see the 4 things we've done already, the impact they'll have, and pretty much none of them are going to cost you any money to do if you do them properly. So then leads. So how do we get good at leads? So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you learn smart marketing. You get really good at marketing. Now, there are a few ways you can do this, and some shortcuts would be to, number 1, just go and get a copy of my book, Podiatry Patients on Tap. You can download it for free, 100% for free, from podiatrypatientsontap.com. Or again, if you want a physical copy, you can go straight to YouTube, and straight to Amazon, I should say, and you can get it there. That's one option. And I show you everything that you need to do to get a marketing system in place and a strategy that you should use in a podiatry clinic. Step 1. Another option is you go to YouTube and you start to look at YouTube. You start to use ChatGPT. Now, if you want to, you can go to my YouTube channel, which is Podiatry Patients on Tap. You'll find it on the website. And my entire marketing course, which I used to sell for over £1,000, I've just given it away for free. You can see it here, Podiatry Patients on Tap. I have the entire course here. Just watch it in the order. Okay, and that will tell you everything that you need to know to get started. But start to learn smart marketing, because if you don't understand a strategy, you're not going to get the effect that you want to get. Second thing then is reactivate your database. Your database is basically your past patients, your current patients, their contact details, their email, their phone number, their details. Get in contact. How do you do that? So it's a very simple thing. What we do in our clinic is we will send out every single week, we will send out an email to our entire database that is useful. Nobody wants to read a boring email, so it's got to be useful and it has to be entertaining. So we call it infotainment. An email that is useful for them to read. It's got something that's going to make sense and help them with their life, and it has some entertainment value in it. And then what we do is so by keeping that email and keeping in contact with that database, what we then do is when we need to, we can then send out an offer for this discount, that discount, whatever, to reactivate our database. That's a very simple way of doing it. There's more you can do with SMS, with letters, with a word of mouth, reward scheme, etc. But look at reactivating your database. Again, you can get all of that tips and tricks on my YouTube channel or through my books, or again, it has it on this book. If you've got this one, I have a big section on it in this one here. Okay, last one then is get serious about doing paid ads. This is the last thing you do. And what happens is a lot of clinic owners think, well, this is the first thing. It is the last thing you do. Because this means that you commit to it, that you don't do helicopter marketing. Helicopter marketing is, I'll try Google for a while. Oh, it doesn't work. I'll turn it off. And it doesn't work because you're using the wrong strategy. You didn't do number one, which is learn smart marketing. Delegate it. Don't do it yourself, okay? You are not an expert in paid ads. Delegate it, but understand the strategy and make sure whoever you're working with is using the strategy that you want. Obviously, we'd be delighted to have a conversation if you're interested in talking to us. And lastly, measure your ROI. Measure the return on investment of everything you spend in your marketing. So if you're spending £500 a month on Google Ads, you need to know what you're making back. And clicks, impressions are not what I mean. What I mean is how many times did this make my phone ring? How many times did this give me a lead? And of those leads, how many did I actually convert to my front desk follow-up, etc.? Because if you don't measure your ROI, you're not going to have confidence in your marketing. You're going to turn it off, turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, and you're not really sure where your patients are coming from, and therefore how are you supposed to scale your business if you don't measure your ROI? So commit to doing paid ads, stick with it, okay? Don't do it yourself. You're not an expert. Delegate to somebody who knows what they're doing, that has expertise in that area, and then make sure whoever they are, they help you to measure the ROI on all of that. So you can see with these 5 levers, if you focus on them, that it's not too difficult. And I've given you 2 tactics. In the case of leads, I've given you 3 that you can use, and none of them really require any money other than paid ads. Now, you might buy some equipment for some high-ticket items, but other than that, paid ads, which is the last thing you should do. And what this does is I've given you 11 tactics to deploy over the next 6 months to add 50% profits to your business. And all you have to do is change each of those 5 levers by 8 to 10%, and you will see that 50% change in your business. So imagine instead of increasing it by 10%, what we did is we actually increased it by 20%. So we had a 20% change. So now suddenly we have 1,200 leads and we have a conversion rate of 30%, which gives us 360 patients. And instead of charging £50 as we were originally, we get it to £60, okay, as an average transaction value, okay, because maybe we've brought in high ticket items and so on. And that we're getting patients to come 4.8 times because we're packaging now. They're not coming 4 times anymore because they're in a package and they're happy to do so. Okay, and then we've started to do our monthly P&L and we realize we're wasting money here, there and everywhere, and we're now at a 20% profit margin. What does that do? That gives us a revenue of £103,680, and that gives you a profit of £24,888 per month, which is doubling from where we were with our 10,000 profit. It's more than doubling. Okay, so you can see the power of using these levers and applying them, and you can just go back and do them again and do them again and do them again with different tactics, and you layer that on top. So if you like what you see here and you want me to help you implement all of this, you want to join our business coaching program, just go to morepracticeprofits.com, fill in a form, book your triage call. We'll have a quick phone call conversation and we'll take it from there. I'd love to help you to boost your business and make a more profitable business for the effort that you're putting in and give you a better quality of life. Okay, so thanks for staying to the end. What we'll do now is we'll go over to any of you guys who are here live. We'll do our Q&A.